Hey, Liz and Steph here. We are so thrilled that you've tuned in today. But before you listen to this episode, we think you should take a quick minute and subscribe to our email list. Season 5 is coming up. We've got some surprise guests, giveaways, and exclusive newsletter stuff in the works, and we really want to include you.
That's right. In our newsletter, you'll get highlights from episodes, notification when exciting new merch drops, and some behind-the-scenes footage from our zany recordings. And we won't flood your inbox. It'll all be good stuff, promise. So go quickly to the episode notes and click on the link Newsletter. Thanks, and enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Musician-Centric Podcast. We are two freelance violists living and laughing our way through conversations that explore what it means to be a professional musician in today's world. I'm Steph.
And I'm Liz. And we're so glad you've joined us. Let's dive in.
Pray to the internet gods.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we are praying to the internet gods. We had some glitchy stuff going on lately. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just trying to work it all out.
Do you really want to do this? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it keeps asking.
Are you sure?
Are you sure you want to get back into this? But here we are. We're back. We have a very, very proud to have a guest episode to share with all of you.
Yeah. We have the amazing Kyleen King, who's a violist. She's the violist and string arranger for Brandi Carlile. She's been on tour. She's been in the recording studio. She's done it all. Yep. Very active in her local out in Portland.
Yeah, the local 99. Yeah, it was kind of cool for her to shout that out in a way because we've had, union episodes in the past, and that was really nice to hear. Yeah, of course, I think Steph and I have probably talked about Brandi Carlile before on the podcast because we're both massive fans. We've both seen her in concert multiple times. We just absolutely love her. And so to get to talk to someone who gets to work with her out on the road is like such a dream. But the conversation was such an incredible surprise in a lot of ways because Kyleen just got real with us about experiences in touring. And we really deep dive into mental health for musicians, which I think is so great. I don't know that we've really had that thread of conversation in a podcast episode before to this extent.
Yeah. And Kyleen shared with us, the ups and downs of touring, obviously, like you said, but also it inspired her to start working on her social work degree. So she is actually getting a degree to help musicians with their mental health, especially those musicians on tour. So she really has a passion for helping people. She even said that she wants to be a mental health advocate against what's causing suffering in musicians' lives, which I thought was just a lovely ethos and inspiration for all of her work right now.
Absolutely. I found it very inspiring, and it's been really interesting. I've been thinking a lot lately myself, and I wonder how many musicians think this about their careers too, like how there can be a service element beyond your performance. And I think, when you feel like you find that niche, when you're like, oh, this is a thing I could do to like really help people, there's just something so fulfilling about that really kind of, I don't know, like somehow makes the performance like almost more enjoyable because you're able to like express yourself in that creative way. And then you also feel like you're giving back. And it's just an interesting thing to think about. And I was very happy to be reminded of that in revisiting this conversation we had with her, which just inspiring in so many ways. And the other thing that I really think was great that we talked about was the concept of community. And we could let her unfold the story of, how she kind of grassroots it with her community. But the idea of all of us like lifting each other up, it's so needed.
Especially right now.
We need it so much.
We need each other.
Yeah,
and we need to go to bat for each other, which is a great segue into talking about
community,
how you can help us.
Help.
Be part of our community. So as you know, creating a podcast is not free. or cheap. You can support us in lots of different ways. You can join our Patreon. You can contribute via our website. You could share this episode with a friend. Just help us get the word out. We just want to connect with you. We want you to be part of our community. We want to be part of your community.
Yeah. And we want to build it. We want to build our community. We want to reach and connect with as many musicians as we can who are looking to be inspired the same ways that we are. And that's really, as we said, you know, in our sort of re-entry back into this project together, that's really our ultimate goal is to be inspired, to learn, and to engage with one another and with the people we meet. I think some of the most fulfilling experiences we've had through this podcast journey has been in the community that's been created around what we're offering and the wonderful people who we've been able to connect with that enjoy what we do. So the more you're willing to engage with us in various ways, the more we feel like we're doing something for you too. So yeah, email list, definitely sign up. We are going to be in touch by email. And as Steph said, there are various ways that you can help us by contributing financially if you have the means to do so. We want to keep this going, and we really just we have to ask for help in order to do that. That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not ashamed. So
no. Join our email list. Text us via the episode notes. There's a little link in there where you can DM us, or like text us. So use those methods. We love feedback. We love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And stay tuned. And oh man, Steph, I feel like I'm going to take your line. Enjoy this episode with Kyleen King.
Our guest today is Kyleen King, a multi-instrumental session musician, string arranger, and live performer based out of Portland, Oregon. She's the violinist and background singer in Grammy Award-winning artist Brandi Carlile's touring band and has arranging and performing credits on the tracks of various artists, including Brandi, The Decemberists, My Morning Jacket, so many more. And recently, Kyleen has turned her energy towards pursuing a degree in social work to serve the mental health needs of her colleagues in the musical community. Kyleen, it is a pleasure and honor to welcome you to the Musician Centric podcast.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure and honor is mine.
Oh, man. Obviously, Liz and I have been following your career. We're huge Brandi fans. But I think I speak for most of our audience who are Brandi heads like we are. Like, what was the path that led you to be on tour with Brandi? It seems like the dream job that we all, when we get into music, we imagine for ourselves, you know?
Sure. And I will definitely say dream job is quickly deflated once you start doing the work.
It always is.
So just as a this is who I am. I'm very real talk about everything.
We love it.
And so I will just deflate everything.
Give us the uncut version.
I'm also extremely fortunate to have had the opportunities that I have. So it's both.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the way that I got that job is the way that I've gotten any other job, which is through who I know and how I put myself out there. And this is something that I tell people a lot when they're asking, how do I get where you're at? I say, can you come to your relationships with other people in a genuine and authentic way and nurture them from a place of friendship and interest versus business and promotion? I don't live in LA, so I imagine there's a whole ecosystem that works in that model, but I've never approached other people as I only want to get something out of you. I want to know you. I'm curious about you. I'd like to just expand my communal feeling of, friendship and relationship and meaning. And so that's how I approach any person that I work with. And I have nurtured several genuine friendships over my life. And the job with Brandi came from exactly that. I like to share that I had met with my friend Laura Gibson, who's a singer-songwriter in Portland, and told her I was looking for work because I had lost my last touring job. And I was like, yeah, just kind of keeping an eye out for anything. And it just so happened that the former violinist of Brandi's, Lauren, got a job for the Lumineers, which had just opened up. And the communication went from Laura Gibson to Lauren that I was looking for work. And so Lauren just recommended me for the job. And it was all the timing kind of thing. It just worked out perfectly. They had seen each other. They had played music together. I mean, Portland's a small city, all things considered. Half the people that live here are musicians, but word gets around. So I was really lucky to be recommended for that. And I just showed up in 2018 for the first gig for her. And my audition was the sound check of, okay, here's your job. Like, play the sound check and then
Wow.
3 shows in a row. And that's what I did.
Amazing. We were talking about, the things we don't know in the career that you've had. And one being the fact that touring is this notoriously grueling way to make a living. And so, one of the questions we had was, what did you see on the road? What were your experiences that highlighted these sort of unmet needs that you've been seeing that you want to serve as you go forward with the social work?
Just curious if either of you have ever toured before?
I have never.
Like baby tours.
Yeah,
Little
nothing
baby.
like that.
Like go out for like get in the car, go to a place and then come home, or maybe stay out for a couple days.
Right,
kind of
like a
thing?
couple days kind of
Okay.
thing, maybe.
I did
Okay.
a one week van tour, that kind of thing. Like
Yeah. So that's
handful
like
of hotels. Little
little
baby version.
bits. Totally. That's a little window into it. I'm always curious of who I'm talking to, and if you already kind of know the answer to this question. One of the things, just stepping back out of just me, everybody comes to tours with a different life set of problems and concerns and circumstances. There are some people that are far more adaptable and resilient than others, and some people absolutely collapse, and everything in between. So it's not a uniform experience in that way. And for me, my childhood issues and the way that I developed made me be chameleon like and adaptable, so that my discomfort and my needs were always suppressed in the interest of serving others, which made me really seem to do really well for the first several years of my life touring, that you wouldn't know on the surface that I was suffering underneath, because you would have never seen it. And people would remark, what? Like, you seem so comfortable and so sociable and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, that's a strategy.
It's a coping
for
mechanism.
protecting myself. That's a coping mechanism. And also from childhood issues, I became hyper vigilant and hyper observant and aware of what everybody's feeling, and like the temperature of the room and the vibe. And I cannot turn that off. So I'm constantly aware of where everyone is at all times. And just that alone would knock a person down. It's exhausting to be in a touring environment where you're taking on everybody's stuff and sitting with it quietly, because there's not a place to share. The vibe on a tour, especially when you're trying to live with people for weeks and months at a time, years at a time on a bus, and you never escape them, is everything needs to be kind of light and fun and funny. And we don't talk about hard things. We can talk about hard things in some little brief moments, but it's hard to know who you can trust and how you can connect with people. And these are my experiences. I think other camps, other bands, other artists might have different experiences and feel like, this is my family and I connect with them so deeply. And honestly, that's never been my experience. I've never really found my people in my touring experiences as a professional. And so I felt very alone and very isolated and suffering in silence, and witnessing a lot of other suffering that's masked under various layers of presentation. Like, no, I'm going to drink a whole bunch or do a whole bunch of drugs, or I'm going to be super funny so you have no idea how much I'm hurting. Just like any other job in the world, we all have an idea about what other people's professions are like, and we don't know unless we go do it, right? And so especially this one on tour, playing on stages in front of thousands of people, and we're also presenting on stage like we are having the best night of our lives.
Yes.
And truthfully, that's not disingenuous. Like, every time I'm on stage, there is no disingenuous bone in my body. I'm feeling whatever I'm showing. There's like we might be coordinating our dance moves for a minute, but like, it's real. I'm real
Yeah.
in that moment. And the 22 and a half other hours of the day are the part that is the hard part of touring.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of visible examples of suffering. The most recent is Liam Payne.
Yeah.
Like, you've been this famous person. He's in One Direction. One Direction had their big moment. One Direction doesn't have that big moment anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he's still a person young and existing in the world who had an obscene amount of attention for a while, and then it's gone. And how do you deal with that? Drugs, you know, any other number of addictions, even the stage can become a drug where you're trying to fill this emptiness from the
Totally.
stage and it doesn't last. I cannot not see that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And it hurts. It hurts more and more and more the longer I'm out on the road. And I'm like, I'm not able to do this anymore. And a lot of that came from my personal journey with therapy and healing, and like, that's why it's getting harder to be in that environment, because I feel like I'm stepping more into, I want to take care of this. I want to heal this. I want to address this. I want to talk about it. I want to advocate against these things that are causing suffering. And I can't participate in the game. I can't participate in the system.
Yeah. You can't
Yeah,
unknow things
Yeah.
that you know.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big, long stretch of
Oh no, it's so
thinking.
thank you. Thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
because I don't think that people talk about it, that side of touring, at
Yeah.
all. You know, we all go to the concerts. You think that that image that you're seeing on stage is the whole experience, but of course it's not.
Of course.
We know this too. We go on stage and we play a concert and it's this
Mhm.
beautiful expression, but
Yep.
we joke about, you know, the bus rides up to New York or wherever we're going to play. We're like, this is so glamorous. Isn't this a glamorous life that we live?
Getting on a
Like
Greyhound.
on a Sprinter bus
Yeah.
at
My
10
leg
o'clock
is
at night.
my leg is cramping. I'm
Yes.
car sick.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yes.
I think it is a really interesting thing to, once you start to do the work, especially if you're someone who has struggled in the past with, you know, you're highly sensitive, you're people pleasing, you are prone to take on other people's crap without even knowing that you're doing it.
Right.
I've had to do a lot of work in that area. And what's ended up happening, well, first of all, I think it's really interesting for anybody else who's had these experiences where once you start to recognize it, there's a period of time where you're like, I can't be in any of it. I have to get myself away from it as much as possible, because I now know what it's doing to me, because I don't know how to take care of this thing yet for myself. But then there's this really interesting point in time when you continue to do the work where you start to recognize that, like, boundaries are this wonderful thing that exists in the
Yeah.
world, and
Yeah.
they're hard. They're really hard. Sometimes, like, I just, you know, total transparency, I have a wonderful therapist. I've talked about my therapist before. She's been my therapist for like nearly 5 years now. She's helped me so much. And just yesterday we were having a conversation about a very what is seemingly a very minor thing in my life. And I was telling her, oh, I had this all structured out and then this came up and now I don't know what I'm going to do. And it wasn't even work related. It's personal related. And she's like, you know, I never do this, but do you want my advice? I was like,
Oh, you got a therapist to give you advice?
I was like, yes. And she's like, you need to stick with the thing that you had structured for yourself for this reason, this reason, this reason, this reason. And I'm like, but. And she's like, talk it out. And I talked it out and I was like, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. You know, sometimes our boundary means like letting go of a thing that we used to do all the time that is no longer good for us, or finding our limits. Like maybe it's not as much time. And that's certainly relative, even for, I think anyone can relate to that in a musical career, whether it's on the road, which is this aggressive, for sure. There's no question. And I mean, we all hear like the party stories, but the dark side of that is, of course, 100% accurate and sad and difficult, you know, because you don't identify as performers. Like you said, everything's authentic on stage because it's where we feel the most alive. It's where we feel the most fulfilled. And the rest of our lives, it's easy to forget that you have so much more to being a human and living the experience of a human life than just being on the stage and getting the performing opportunity. Like, I don't know. I think that's the challenge, is like figuring out how to find value in all of those things in your life too. And I think it speaks to some other things that you've shared about your own experience too, which we'll get into. But I just think all of that is just so well said. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, the taking on of other people's stuff. You're not alone.
Absolutely.
You are not
I'm
alone.
definitely not alone. We largely do that. We're all trying to avoid conflict, and we are all trying to avoid pain. So 100% what you just spoke to, I feel like, is we don't learn how to sit with our discomfort. We don't learn who we are and why we are the way we are. If we were all in therapy, like we should all be in therapy, and treated our mental health with the same regard that we do our physical health, we would understand ourselves a lot better and be able to tolerate the discomfort of those touring environments a lot more easily. The performing environments, the rehearsal environment, the ego struggle of being creative and working with other people. Every struggle that you face in the business can be tolerated and managed and navigated if you have some groundedness and understanding of yourself and who you are. That's a big missing piece. This is why I'm going to keep saying this out loud in every place that I can. I want Taylor Swift to start paying for a foundation that provides mental health and resource support to touring musicians in the touring environment. And not just musicians, crew, management, everybody that's out on the road needs to be cared for on the road in that space, because you are alone out there, resourceless, with no support. It's mostly predators and us kind of feeling like our own advocates, trying to stay ahead of the people that are waiting in line behind us for our jobs. And so Taylor Swift has $1 billion, and I think that Taylor Swift would be on board to putting her name on a foundation that I somehow get smarter people than me to be in charge of, and we start to create mental health structural support. And not only touring musicians, but that is one of, as I've spent many years on the road now, that's one of the biggest glaring missing pieces to me, is we need it there on the road.
Manifest.
I am.
We'll keep it in the pod. Taylor, you heard it here.
Taylor,
she's a big fan.
She's listened to all the episodes so far.
I'm sure she has. Yes, we're gonna be best friends.
But that's your community. Like, you recognize the struggles within your community. Like, we have the same experience in our own. And so what needs are being met? Like, when you ask how to be a person of value in your world, you're asking what the needs are that need to be met. And then that's the beauty, right? You started there, maybe it gained some success, and then maybe there are other organizations that crop up that start providing mental health resources to orchestral musicians and the issues they face. And they
absolutely,
it's a snowball effect. Yeah.
It's already becoming more common. Like what you were saying earlier is, historically for us, these are still new concepts and still taboo because they are still so new. Yeah. Like Backline is an organization providing mental health support that's funded by other people. So it's like free. You go get case management services from them. Even Live Nation created Touring Career Workshop, which is providing mental health and counseling services only to Live Nation performers. And it was only at the stadium and arena level. But I did see it. And I met with somebody because I was like, hey, and it just started. This was like last 2023. So it's new. And I'm on a mental health committee for the Local 99 Musicians Union in Portland. And we are constantly talking about symphony musicians, because everybody on that committee is in the symphony but me. And they're talking about neurodivergence constantly, and how the ADHD and autism are not addressed, and how it's severely prevalent in the symphony scene. But also just I'm learning even more about the difficulties of what it's like to be in the symphony. I had my own ideas. I was like, oh, well, you have a salary and you have, benefits and you have blah, 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 blah. And they're like, listen, here's the reality of what that job is like. And I had no idea. So you're right. It's going to snowball. It's going to become more common. And I'm just one in a sea of voices that I think are going to come around to this more and more and more. People are talking about it more and more. Noah Kahan talks about it on the
Yes.
road. He's raising money for mental
Mm-hmm.
health organizations. I think Lady Gaga, Selena Gomez, like all of these massive figures are talking about it a lot. Simone
Yes.
Biles talking
Mm-hmm.
about mental health in the Olympics.
Totally.
You know, it's
Yeah. It's
it
amazing.
we're on the right track, and I think
Mhm.
things are going to get better. It's just been so hard for us now and before the now, and where the struggles are still at today in the existing environment for
Yeah.
people working right now.
But you're
And
doing more than just talking about it. You're
I
actually pursuing a degree in social work.
yes, I have many big ideas, and I don't have enough time in my life to do all the things I want to do. But I'm working on a master's degree in social work right now, which I'll be done with next August in 2025.
Wow.
And my idea is to be a private practice therapist for musicians and creatives as one aspect of my work. I also plan to continue doing music, that I'm not going to burn out on one or the other. I'm not going to rely on music for income. I'm not going to burn out on taking on 30 clients a week. I'm going to figure out a balance, and I'm going to advocate locally, nationally, and maybe internationally with every organization I can find that wants to provide resource support and mental health support to musicians and creatives. It's really clear, you know, like we were saying earlier, this path is just so clear now where I'm like, oh, this is how old me and new me all figure together, and why this feels so meaningful and why I'm so passionate about it is
Yeah.
Yeah.
because there's purpose in this that makes a whole lot of sense for who I am and what my story is. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's so clear that you're so passionate about it. It's wonderful to see such a clear vision and with such heart behind it. And it's clear that you have a community out there
Yeah.
in Portland that needs and wants and appreciates you for bringing this up. And it's
Totally.
nowhere more clear than in your GoFundMe for your social work degree. So,
Amazing.
listeners, if you don't know, go check it out. Kyleen has a GoFundMe that funded her master's degree in social work. And Liz and I were on there the other day. Liz was just telling me what she saw.
I
What did you
was
see on there?
well, okay, so here's what I was marveling at. And there's like a few reasons we're bringing this up, but I think first of all, it's definitely a testament to your community. What I saw was that you basically were very honest about the reasons you were going into this work. And you were very frank about the financial restrictions of trying to do this work. And you mentioned loans and you mentioned the high interest cost of that, which we're all very aware of, you know, to try
Mm-hmm.
to pursue any kind of higher ed degree costs so much money. And you were very frank. You basically said, like, this is going to cost $20,000 for me to go to school, and it's going to roughly cost me $20,000 to live while I'm going to school. And I like that what you did was you first said you were looking for someone who's like got resources that will just give you money. And I love that because it's like, yes, I really wish more people that had unlimited resources would just hand it over.
Uh-huh.
Um, you know, as we look at the world of like tycoon billionaires and the
That's
new
right.
era of
Oh,
robber barons and all,
Oh, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
which is a whole other can of
that's
worms.
a whole
It
other
sure is.
podcast.
It is.
But then you look down and you see you have raised this money, but in looking at your donors, it's all just people who are throwing $100, $50, $20, $150. And we were just Steph and I both were just thinking about this concept of like having a community of support and what it looks like actually to, and I forget if Stephanie, you'll have to tell me if I had a more succinct way of putting this, but I just have this idea in my head that's like, wow, you know, when I know someone who has a project and they're crowdfunding for that project and I believe in it, I'm going to throw 20 or $50 their way. And then if I have a project that someone else really loves or believes in, they're going to throw bucks my way. And this idea of like supporting one another as we explore ways to serve our communities, it's meaningful and it creates this sense of closeness and connection, to tie it back to what all of us feel as musicians is the most important thing we do, is connect
Yeah.
in various ways. Here you are doing that, but I think we were curious. How did you even think to be like, you know what, I want to do this work. I'm just going to throw a GoFundMe up there and hope for the best. Where does this community come from? Are these people you know personally? Like, I mean, really, it's a weird question, but I ask it because I think the more that artists or creatives are willing to say out there, I want to do this thing. I have this vision for doing this thing. I need your help. The more we have to offer, right?
It was so nice to hear you talk about it just now. Like, you really spoke so well to the whole thing. And I was like, oh, it almost made me want to cry just hearing you talk about it. Because the idea was I wasn't going to get enough money from loans to even cover what I needed. It was still going to be about $10,000 short. And I was like, well, so I'm definitely signing up for massive interest for a long time. And I'm going to have to work a certain number of hours and work with this many clients for this long to pay off this debt. Right. And I was fully expecting to take on loans and go into debt as I was doing a master's. And I was looking at the loans, and I'll be honest, I filed bankruptcy in 2015 for some credit card debt that I had from an ex, and I still can't even I can't go into a bank and get a loan. Like, that expires next year. It's a 10-year mark on your
10
credit.
years. Okay.
10 years. And it happens next year, but I couldn't even go just like get a credit card to pay for my life for the rest of it. And I was like, okay, so what do I do? And the first thing that comes to mind is exactly what you said. Maybe there's a Brandi fan who is just sitting on a mountain of money, and $40,000 would mean nothing to them. How do I ask for this? And I was talking to my housemate about it, and my housemate was like, okay. I was like, here's my idea. I want to try to find a Brandi fan. I'm going to make a social media post and see if I can get a Brandi fan's attention. And she was like, just create a GoFundMe link so that if the Brandi fan who has resources sees it, they can easily just put the money in. So they have a way to donate. You don't have to manage or coordinate or whatever with them. Just like, it's an easy way for them to just click on something and send it to you. So I made that post, and I put the GoFundMe link in the comments to try to hide it because I did not want my friends to donate to it, because I felt an enormous guilt for putting up a GoFundMe asking to pay for my school when I can get loans, when there are people putting up GoFundMes for paying for their medical debt and dealing with tragedy and loss. And I even went on the GoFundMe site and looked at the education section to see how many people were doing that. There's like nobody raising money to pay for their higher education. This is such a unique thing.
It's really crazy to me, actually.
Like, I agree now.
Wouldn't that be one of the most common things that people go into debt for?
Maybe these days.
I saw differently just on the main website. And so I put that up, and I was walking around my house like this. I felt horrible. Yeah. I was so nervous. I was so uncomfortable. I wanted to get it off. I wanted to take it down. I was like, what are you doing? Like, this is absurd. And I was terrified of the criticism and the judgment I was going to receive and what people were going to think about me for putting this up. And of course, my attempt to hide the GoFundMe link failed, and all my friends saw it, and they started sharing it, and they started donating. And within 2 days, it was to like $11,000. And I was like, okay, this is out of my hands. This was not my intention, but I cannot control the way that this goes. And I need to get out of my own way, because I was really struggling with how to process that so many people were jumping on that to donate. And the kind of feedback you receive from the GoFundMes, I don't know if you've ever talked to somebody who's done it or if you've ever done one, but the kind of feedback you received is, it's just so overwhelming. It's like being at your own funeral and hearing the best things about you. Like, I just received so much love and support from my community. And that community is not only Portland musicians, but it was Brandi fans. A lot of them follow me on social media. A lot of them were donating. A lot of them were reaching out, telling me how much it means to see me on stage every time with Brandi, and that they couldn't be more happy to donate. Friends saying like, I am so happy to give you the $25 I can afford to give you. It's so meaningful. I didn't have words, and I kind of still don't. When I think about it, I'm like, what can I possibly say? about
Yeah.
what happened there. And I'm as I paid my first bill for this first semester, I've been trying to communicate back to them how meaningful it is. I'm like, I have no debt because of you all. And I also have to recognize that I put myself out there. And if I hadn't
Yes.
put myself out there, I wouldn't be in this position.
Yes.
And I can't recommend it enough.
Yes.
What you're terrified of is the thing that you probably should go do. And I did receive some direct criticism and judgment from people I love, from random people online. I saw it and I was like, okay, let's put on our big girl pants and let's see what this feels like and let's accept it. It was so intense for a minute, I almost pulled it down because I was like questioning my choice to do it, and I didn't, and I left it up. So if anything is motivational from this is that you can rethink systems. You can reach out to your community. We can create systems of support around us outside of this burdening, oppressive system of capitalism that says you have to do all of these things this way. And the social norms that say you're supposed to do this and be this, and this is the right way. And I have never agreed with that. And social work couldn't align more with who I am because I disagree with all of those norms.
Yeah.
I think they're absurd. And I see how they allow people to have power over others when you decide something is the right way or somebody is better than another person. It's just not true. So yeah, I have a lot of feelings about that, and I'm so glad you asked about it.
Yeah, great.
I'm so touched too, because it was so vulnerable.
Yeah.
It was so vulnerable to put yourself out there in that way.
Yeah.
And it was such a middle finger to the system, basically. And
it really was.
But I really think of it as like a return to like what our basic human needs and instincts are.
Yeah.
We want to be part of a community. We want to support each other. Yeah. We don't want to have to go it alone.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. No one wants to see that either.
Right.
We've glorified that for so long. And it's, I think, a return to what's really true about being a human.
Yep, that's exactly.
Is reaching out for those connections and that community and that village.
Exactly. It flies in the face of capitalism and what capitalism says is true. Nobody has ever pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. Nobody has ever done anything without other people. Ever. Ever.
100%.
You might be a remarkable, amazing human who's like achieved unbelievable things. And you've done it because other people have helped you somewhere along the way. We are all relying on other people to get anything done. And it's such a myth that you have ever done anything entirely on your own. You can't do anything on your own. And it's getting that myth and that lie out of the way can do exactly what you just said, Steph, which is return us to what is true about us as humans, as we are a social species who rely on each other and want to connect and want to be in partnership with each other and care about each other. We actually do care. As much as people are trying to convince us we don't, we actually do. And we still do, alone in our houses, on our phones, when we're not seeing people. We care so much. And we want to say that we don't because it hurts to acknowledge the truth that we all do. Yeah.
Because that's the harder path.
Yeah, it's the harder path.
Is caring.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what do you think, Steph? Should we lighten things up? Kyleen, how do you feel about playing a game?
Okay,
do you like games?
Let's do games.
Okay. It's like still going to be a deep thought game. Steph, what do we call this game?
Okay, so we're calling this game sight reading. And so we have this list of questions, but it's nothing as traumatic as the real deal.
Okay.
They're just very light, very thought-provoking questions. Okay. And we're going to ask them at random, maybe 2 or 3 of them. And you can just tell us what you think, just like first instinct.
I think it's worth mentioning, you are our first guest we're ever going to play this game with.
Oh, gosh.
You're the very first one.
Okay.
And we're very excited, but we also were talking about it. We're like, I think Kyleen's the perfect guest to do this.
Perfect.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm honored.
So I have this, oh my God, I can. I have to show Kyleen what this looks like. Okay. So this won't make it into the episode, but I have to show you
Can you see this? Okay, so this is the wheel, and I'm going to spin it, and then we're going to
boy.
ask the question that corresponds to the number.
Okay, go.
Okay,
You feeling lucky?
there it goes. Oh, it's making a noise. I don't know if that's going to come out in the recording, though. Oh, boy. Okay.
Okay, 16. Oh, there's applause.
Okay, here's question 16. What does success look like for you at this moment?
Success at this moment looks like knowing who I am and what I want, regardless of what anybody else has to say.
Authenticity.
Yep. Success is what I define as success for me, not what anybody else defines as success. Yeah.
It changes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving target.
It is.
Totally moving target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Steph, do you have the list of questions?
do.
I already spun the
Oh, you
wheel
already
at the same
spun.
time.
Okay, great. Which one?
Yes. Number 27.
Okay. Best gig meal ever.
Ooh. Okay. This happened recently. I was up in Alaska with the Low Bar Corral this summer playing Salmon Fest in the Nilchik. And they had,
As you do.
as you do. And they had all of these salmon salmon fisher people, and they brought their salmon, the way they prepared it, for us to sample as a contest. And so we got to taste the most delicious salmon prepared in all these different ways of all time, and it was just stunningly good. Like we were high, we were buzzing,
Oh my gosh.
were melting. It was so delicious
And fresh.
and fresh. Oh, that's one of my favorite food memories.
That's so good.
That was pretty good.
Okay. Question number 12 is, what is something you do differently than anyone else you know, and why? That's a big one.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wow. I'm scared to answer.
There are lots of things that I do differently.
I want to hear it, Steph.
Than other
What's your
people.
how would you answer this?
I don't know how to answer this.
Do you put all of your emails in different folders?
No.
Like organize them once you get
I
them?
think you know the answer to that question.
I do. Just because it's so overwhelming to see a whole inbox full of unanswered emails, I feel better when they're in folders. Of
Even if you haven't
things.
opened them?
Yeah.
Okay. That might be
I automatically go through and delete. Oh, okay, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm the anal
so
one on this
glad you
podcast.
But I love it. I love
In
it.
case you didn't know.
I know that people sort into folders. Like, that's a thing. But like the unread part, I don't know if I know anybody else who does that part. So that is unique to
Yeah,
you.
I think that's unique. Yeah.
Okay, I thought the only thing I could think of here, which I'm sure other people do, is I struggle to focus on schoolwork and reading. It's really, really hard for me. So I have like a TV show playing on silent, plus music playing, plus like lighting and a candle and like my little stress ball. And if I have all of these things going, they distract all the parts of my brain that don't want to be doing that work, and I can have a better chance at focusing. Every time I tell people that, they're like, what? So I think I might be fairly unique in this, but I know I'm not alone. So I would love to hear from other people.
I don't think you're alone.
I think the multiple factors though are very unique. You know, like you have a specific set of things. Like I generally need to have some kind of background noise to work for sure.
Yes.
But like it's usually the TV with the sound on or because music I cannot work to music. I find that very distracting. Any kind of music playing.
Wow, I don't listen to music very much, which is
That's
that might
interesting.
Be a weird one. I don't like listening to music that much. It's very rare that I want to listen. It's work.
Interesting. It
So,
would work.
and I'm
right, yes.
analyzing. But if I find the right, like I basically exclusively listen to Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross film scores as the background for my work. I love it. I can revel in film score and soundtrack stuff. Lyric-based stuff I'm not as interested in listening to. It's a little more distracting, but I never listen to lyrics.
Yeah.
So I can also tune out lyrics as background.
Yeah.
But it's distracting enough to quiet that part of my brain. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is amazing. Thank you for indulging us in
Thank you for putting me in an awkward situation.
Thanks for being our guinea pig.
Yes.
Okay. No problem.
You're the best.
This has been such a delight to have you on,
Yeah.
Kyleen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been so great to chat with you two lovely, lovely humans. And thanks for asking these great questions. And I don't know, just being so supportive and smiley and caring and wonderful. Yeah, this is great. Good job doing for your podcast. Great job. It's hard, and you are making it work.
Thank you for that pep talk.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening today. If you loved this episode, consider writing us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
You can buy all your musician-centric merch, including shirts, water bottles, koozies, and a variety of other fun items.
Our theme music was written and produced by JP Wogeman and is performed by Steph and myself. Thanks again for listening. Let's talk soon.